The BYU Cougars are 1-0 on the season after beating Southern Illinois in their season opener. Now it gets real. The Cougars head to SMU on a short week. What to expect from the Mustangs? Well, let's ask the guy who's right in the middle of all things. That's Connor Pay.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day, and thank you to all of you who are everydayers with us right here on your original daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Ultimate GM. They have a new game called Ultimate College Football HC. It's a brand new mobile game. It's completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost for your program and begin your coaching legacy today. All right, please welcome in now BYU team captain Connor Pay to the podcast for his weekly visit here on the show. Now, Connor, we're going to start off with a real big one right here. How does it feel to be the most penalized BYU offensive lineman on the season right now?
Feels awesome. It's just great when the D lineman, you don't even get, my hand placement was terrible on that play. I didn't even have a grip on him. So I don't know how I could hold him when I missed with my hand completely. And he makes a spin move, and the ref says, "You grabbed him and spun him around." And I was like,
okay.
You made a spin move? I was like, okay, sounds good. But thankfully, my boys bailed me out, and we were still able to score on that drive.
That does help, no doubt about that. Now, obviously, big win against Southern Illinois. Give me a sense for how the team's feeling coming off a 1-0 start to the season.
Good. I mean, you have to enjoy the wins, right? They're hard to get. And, obviously a lot of things we feel like we could have done better. We were a little sloppy in some areas on both sides of the ball. So, but that gives me a lot of confidence moving forward that you can, be a little sloppy, kind of have some of those first game jitters, and you can tune it up a little bit and still, win by 30. So that's always a good thing. And so a lot of good things we can take from that game to lead into this week to help us prep for SMU.
Now, I'm sure your coaches are no different. In fact, I actually know them, and I think I have this philosophy. They'd rather teach you guys in terms of, you talked about improving off of that win versus having to essentially chide you guys after a loss to improve. What was the messaging from Aaron Roderick? What was the messaging from TJ Woods in particular to you guys along the offensive front?
Just like they were happy with how we played. But as we broke down the tape and watched it together, there's a lot we can do better. And, obviously we were happy that we were able to put 180 on them on the ground. That was one of the things that it's been one of our goals the whole offseason, is to be able to run the football. And like we talked about a little bit last week, that's not an easy defense. Even though it's an FCS opponent, the way they scheme, they gum up the middle a lot with 7, sometimes 8 people. And so, to be able to establish the run and, to have A-Rod put the ball on the ground 46, 47 times, was pretty awesome. And, a boat of his confidence in us, and that's how we took it. And, but there's always a lot of things you can take, like, hey, just some sloppy technique here, some bad footwork here, it's just some stuff like that where you can just be like, hey, it's about what we do. It's not about what the other team does, and we have to shore up and, handle the details a little bit better going into SMU, I think. But the best teams in college football, they're teams that can improve every single week. So
now you guys move forward now, and you talk about improvement. A bit of a unique circumstance last week with the Jay Hill situation, and crazy to have all that come out. And the fact that he even showed up at the stadium on Saturday night shows you how much of a tough guy he is. And I mean that in the best way possible. Give us a feeling. I know that he's not coaching you directly. He's on the defensive side of the football, but what was the feeling in the locker room and as you guys coalesced around him and tried to support him in that time?
I mean, we were fired up, honestly. He was still here, because that could have ended very differently.
Yeah.
And so he spoke to us in a team meeting from the hospital on Friday, just letting us know everything that had happened, and that he was unsure whether or not he was going to be able to make it to the game if they'd let him, but he was going to try. And when he came down on the field during pregame and everybody ran over there to go see him, that was a pretty special moment. And I think just also even from his hospital bed, he just is like, hey, I only wanted to do this call to explain to you what happened because I feel like you guys have a right to know why I'm not there. He's like, but other than that, don't think about this anymore. Think about the game, and he was getting honest, making sure that we weren't getting distracted. And so that was his message from the beginning, was to just keep the focus on the game. And so that's what we did.
Now, Kalani was kind of funny about it. He was talking to the media saying that Jay essentially told him, don't tell anybody about this. We're just going to operate as normal. And the coaches are saying, and then Kalani tells like the coaching staff, and the coaching staff's like, he's texting us as if everything's okay. What's going on here? So you can tell that he's all in on you guys, obviously being able to perform at your best. So obviously our best wishes go out to him. And it sounds like he's already back at work. So it's a very positive, I think, as you mentioned, with regards to how things probably could have gone in that circumstance. Now, back to the game just for a moment here. You talk about you guys ran for 180 yards. You guys ran the ball 47 times. I was watching that game. I'm sitting in the press box there, and there were more than a couple of times on fourth downs and third downs that essentially it felt like Aaron Roderick put the ball in your hands figuratively behind the offensive line and said, we're going to run for this first down. Is that something that you took pride in? Was that something you expected going into this game?
Absolutely. And he told us he would.
Okay.
And, it's always good when you get to those third and short. And I think we even had a fourth down down in the low red zone, almost on the goal line, where I think it was 4th and 4.
Yeah, I think you're
3,
right.
Where initially we had a pass play call and they changed it and checked it to a run. And we were kind of like looking at each other up front, like, all right, he's putting it on us. Like, let's go get it. And then we were able to get the edge, and LJ was able to get that first down. But no, you always take pride in it when your coordinator, puts it on your shoulders. And that's, everybody knows once you get into those goal line and those short yardage situations that's what you're there for. That's it. It's your job to perform at your best in those situations. And thankfully, overall, I feel like we did.
Final thing for me on the game last week, we'll switch our attention to SMU momentarily, but I want your evaluation. Would you grade your offensive line performance overall for the game?
I thought it was good, not great. I was just sloppy with my hand placement and my footwork in some areas. And so, I have a nice little list of things that I'm trying to cover in practice just to tighten things up a little bit. Just got myself out of position a couple times just for being stupid, selling out too hard and one way or the other, missing with my hands, just some dumb things like that I can definitely tighten up for this week. So,
all right, we will flip our attention over to SMU, your guys' opponent this week on a short week as you guys head to Dallas, Texas to take on the Mustangs, the 5th all-time meeting between the Cougars and SMU. We'll talk about that game momentarily as you roll on right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Ultimate GM. They have a brand new game called Ultimate College Football HC. Think about it this way. It's kind of the off-the-field stuff you would deal with when it comes to playing EA Sports College Football 25 or any other football game. But you can have fun in a mobile environment. It's 100% playable offline. You can play it whenever you want. The best part is you can simulate every part of a football program. You get to step in the shoes of a head coach and lead your program to glory. Can you imagine having to hire players, hire coaching staff and recruit the players to help your program elevate, overseeing training camps, handling all your scholarship situation with all the scholarships you have to dole out. You control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. We'll be able to handle all of that pressure. And also in-game allows you to call offensive plays for the game. So your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but also the future and legacy of your program as well. Once again, Ultimate College Football HE is completely free, has no ads, is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want and when you want. And right now we have a special offer for you. When you use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps inside the game, receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as we'll get your team off to a strong start in the game. Go to ultimate-cfb.com to get the game today. That's ultimate-cfb.com or look it up on the app stores wherever you get games and or apps. It's Ultimate College Football HC. You can begin your coaching legacy today. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. I want to remind you guys, if you're looking for more of a 30,000-foot view, kind of an overall look at the college football universe, check out our sister podcast, Locked On College Football. It's a great way to get caught up on everything going on nationally. Spencer McLaughlin does a great job recapping it all in 30 minutes or less. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. It's also available on YouTube. That's Locked On College Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, welcoming back in Connor Pay. And Connor, obviously you have experience playing against SMU because you played them in that New Mexico Bowl 2 off seasons ago, so it'd be 2022. So I want to start there before we look at this week's game. What are your memories of facing off against the Mustangs down there in Albuquerque?
They were good, man. They were a stout team. I know our offensive game plan was quite a bit different than what we had been running the entire season, since Jaron wasn't playing and we had Sol J in there. So we kind of took the 3 bowl game weeks and installed a new offense. So that was kind of interesting. And thankfully we were able to execute it just well enough to sneak out a little victory there, thanks to J. Rob making a play there on that 2-point conversion. But no, I can't remember his name, but number 40, they had an interior D lineman. He's in the NFL now, who's a really good player.
Okay.
And I remember just him being really solid. We beat him up a little bit and got after him pretty good. But I remember thinking after the game, like, that's a dude right there who's gonna have a chance to play in the league. And so I remember them just being just a stout, tough group. I don't remember them doing anything too crazy. Their defense isn't crazy. They don't do all this weird stuff. And after watching the film, they still don't do that. They're just really based, really disciplined. And they're a good group on defense.
Now, one other question about that bowl game. You mentioned Jacob Robinson, obviously having that game-saving tackle there at the goal line practically. Ben Bywater had that pick 6 in that game.
Yeah.
Some crazy circumstances around that game. And you talk about essentially Sol J. You guys went with essentially, we're going to run the ball some more in this game and just do enough to win. Funny enough, that's the last bowl game this program has played in. So what's your overall feeling? Do you want to get back to that, obviously this season, but what's your overall feeling looking back on that and the experience you had?
I mean, obviously didn't expect that to be, the last bowl game I would have played in up until this point at the time.
Yeah.
But, I think obviously that's the goal, is to get back to another bowl game this year and to put a winning season together. And, I think, but I don't think a lot of the guys are focused on that. I think they're focused on today. And, I think we kind of, I think that kind of comes with the maturity of going through last year. Or it's like we looked out there, and we're thinking, oh man, we keep losing these games, we're not gonna have a chance to do this. And we kept focusing on the results and not as much on the process, of what gets you good results. And so I think it's we're focused on today, and then eventually the bowl games, the winning, all that stuff is gonna come from our preparation.
You talk about obviously focusing on the here and now, and you referenced back to last season. Do you feel like at points last year you kind of lost focus of focusing on the here and now, and maybe we're looking a little beyond the mark, as it were?
No doubt. And I think that that falls on the shoulders of the leaders, of us as captains and others, and allowing that to kind of seep through the team. And now I think having gone through that, we're able to see the signs a little better and nip that in the bud and keep the team's mentality kind of on the right track and going.
Now you guys head to SMU this Friday, and obviously a big game down there at Gerald R. Ford Stadium, and I think it's Highland Park is technically the city that it's located in. But you talk about them essentially running a very kind of base level defense, but obviously relying on their athleticism. Give me a better sense of that. Is it a 4-3 scheme? What scheme wise? What do you see from them?
Yeah, a lot of 4-3, a lot of lining up in base 4 down and saying like, look, we're going to be more disciplined than you. We're going to hold our gaps better than you. And it's not. I mean, obviously they do pressure and they do move a little bit, but it's not their forte.
Okay.
And I think it's just that they want to be really stout and really consistent on defense, and that's the style they run, and so. And in some ways, it's good because you know what you're going to get. But in other ways, it's like, okay, this is what they do. They're very good at it. This is all they do. They're really good at it. And so, it's a double-edged sword, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Now, you talk about the fact that they essentially are challenging you guys on that front. What do you see from their defensive front in particular? Because those are the guys you're going to be dealing with mostly. Because when it's a 4-man alignment, you got guys either side of you, obviously opposite of you, opposite of your guards. But how does that change for you? Because last week was a lot of 3-man front, a lot of 3-3-5 look. How does that change for you as a center?
I think, for me, 4 down, it's usually a little easier for me to get 2 steps in the ground. I'm in a combo a lot of the time. And so, but they're big and they're strong on the interior of the defensive line, and their ends are really good players. And so, like, a lot of transfers in this group. So a lot of guys who coming in from other schools. And so, but they return their whole linebacker core, and both of their safeties. And so I think, they're stout in the middle, and they want to take you up and hold space to kind of free up their DNs to do a lot of things, because they're good athletes and they're good players.
Can your experience having played them almost 2 years ago now, help you guys at all in this game? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it was a couple years ago now. So, a lot of the finite details of that game plan and things I've forgotten. But, I think just having experienced how tough they are and how they're going to keep coming on defense, more a whole scheme of things versus the nitty gritty of the X's and O's, I think will definitely help. So I can, let the guys know, like, how this defense, doesn't matter if we jump on them, get up a few scores, they're going to come back every drive, trying to hit you in the mouth and force you to play physical, which is a very fun game for an offensive lineman. So we're looking forward to that.
Now, Jake Retzloff is QB1 in Provo. That obviously became public when the game started last week. How are you feeling with him behind center and obviously working with you for a second straight season now?
Good. I mean, this is game 5 for us together. So, obviously in the baby stages of us working together, but I feel really good. And obviously he balled out. He played very well. And, you can just tell. And I mean, obviously we didn't talk a bunch about it because we didn't want to. And we were asked not to, to talk too much about the details of the QB battle, just for the sake of both of those guys, so they could kind of go through training camp together. And I'll tell you what, it was very close, and they pushed each other. And so I wasn't lying to you guys when I said it was 50-50 up until really the very end, because it was. But, I think, Jake having that whole other offseason, to kind of how he's in so much more command of the offense now than he was last year. And so just understanding the system better, his reads, his progressions, individual players better, all that stuff. And he was able to put that on display this week, which was fun to watch, fun to be a part of.
Final thing on SMU, obviously first road game of the season. Now they are a Power 4 debutante themselves. You guys went through this a year ago. This will be their first ever home game against a Power 4 opponent. What are your expectations for the road trip overall, the crowd, etc.?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard SMU is a fun place to play, and they're good at playing at home, and they I think I'm trying to remember, because I don't think I've never played there before. Trying to think if there's anyone on our team currently who has, just at other schools. I can't remember, but it's a good environment, good crowd from what we've heard. They're loud. They love to get into it, and it's obviously it's in Dallas, so it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid, and I think, I'm really looking forward to it. I think I really enjoy playing on the road. I think it's a really fun experience. Just the hostility. Everybody there hates you. They want you to suck, all that stuff. Like, I think that kind of just adds to the fire. It's kind of fun. So I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, we will finish up this edition of Locked On Cougars as we always do with our listener questions for Connor. We'll get to those momentarily as we roll on right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. Now, 5 Hour Energy is here for you guys whenever you are needing an extra boost of energy. Obviously, a lot of us want to get in shape, yours truly included, but have trouble staying motivated. Make 5 Hour Energy shots part of your lifestyle and get the energy boost you need to get fit. We all know that sometimes you don't want to go to the gym. Take a 5 Hour Energy shot to give you that feeling and alertness. You can get to the gym and get that workout in. They give you the feeling of alertness and energy you need to get in the zone and get the work done you need to, no matter if it's in the gym or if it's anywhere else in your life. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it is the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore: watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and there's pretty much a flavor for everybody out there. Try them all. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12 or 24 pack with a customized list of flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. So right now, if you go to 5hourenergy.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, promo code LOCKEDONCFB, get 20% off your order. This order is only available until September 30th and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is also not good on subscription orders either, but take advantage today. That's 5hourenergy.com using the promo code LOCKEDONCFB and save yourself 20%. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. If you have not done so already, please sign up for our Locked On Cougars Insider Group. It's a great way to interact with the show, have a chance to ask guys like Connor questions. It's really the only way. It's one of the perks we hold for our Locked On Cougars Insider Group. If you want to ask Connor a question, you got to be part of the group. Click the link in the show notes below. It's a 14-day free trial, just $5 a month afterwards to have that access. You can have one-on-one conversations with myself. Join us today on our Locked On Cougars Insider Group. All right, Connor, before we go on today's show, get to some questions here. First one comes from our good friend Travis, and Travis asked this: can you ask Connor about the play that Cody Epps caught that screen pass, and Connor kind of got held up in traffic a little bit? Does he feel like had he gotten that block, he might have gone for more?
I mean, I will say this. That guy was not my assignment.
Okay.
But I do think if I had gotten out of the screen a little quicker, then I would have been able. I just didn't. I had to make a choice because when I saw Cody catch the ball, I saw the guy chasing him, and then I realized that, he wasn't blocked the way he was supposed to be. And so I kind of had two choices. I either could have just tried to shoot in front of Cody and go get him, but I felt like I was just a hair too late, and if I would have done that, I would have slammed into him. And so I decided to hesitate for a second and see if maybe I could get in there after, and it just didn't end up working that way. So yeah, I wish I could have gotten out of that screen a little faster, so that way I could have kind of saved the mistake there. So
you didn't want to have number 70 making a tackle on the stat sheet. I get it.
No, not ideal.
Friendly fire, as they say. All right, next one here, and it's actually coming from myself, Connor. It's something I noticed in game. You're not wearing knee braces. Is that like a new thing? Because for years you guys were required to wear those in game. Is that a new thing? You're allowed not to wear them now?
Well, yes. That took months of bargaining, and convincing of Coach Woods to let me do that. Because my very first year, second half of the season, I didn't wear them, and a few of us didn't wear them, and just kind of liked the freedom and then the movement a little bit, and so I finally convinced Coach Woods to let me do it. So.
Now, a lot of the NFL, I frankly, I don't think there's a single NFL offensive lineman I've seen recently that wears them. So I think that's philosophy is kind of filtering down to the college game. Because you talk about when you wore them your first year, I think it was Coach Mateos, and his philosophy was you don't want to wear them, you don't have to wear them. You wear them in practice, I believe, but you don't have to wear them.
Yeah, I'll always wear them in practice because the likelihood of somebody falling on your leg or something like that in a weird position is way higher in practice than it is in a game. So I'll always wear them in practice, but.
All right, next question comes from Brent. What did Connor like seeing out of the offensive line from game one of this year compared to last year against Sam Houston State?
Overall, I really liked just the attitude and the mental fortitude that we kind of showed during the game where because this was honestly kind of a similar opener where Sam Houston twisted and moved a bunch to try to gum up the run game. And there was going to be some dirty runs and things, and we didn't really have that mentality last year. And so when you're getting tackled or there's a TFL or a 1 or 2 yard gain, you kind of get in the dumps a little bit. And we didn't do that at all this game. I think, Coach Woods prepared us well, and he just said, he's like, look, there's going to be some dirty runs. Don't be mad about it. Keep pounding it because we're going to be able to pop a few, if we just keep on them. And, I think just kind of the fortitude, too, to kind of go through that second quarter lull where we weren't able to finish drives as well. And, it could have been really easy for us to kind of go into the tank at that time, too, and be like, oh, crap, man, like, why are we struggling? Like, we were firing on all cylinders in the first quarter. And then just to kind of be able to pull ourselves out of that and be like, all right, let's just relax. We just got to do what we got to do. It's not about what they do. It's about what we do. And we got to execute our plays better, and we reset, we refocused, and we were able to, finish out the game strong. And so I'm pretty happy with that.
All right, we got two essentially the same question. This one comes from Jake, the other one comes from Riker. And Riker did ask me during the game about this, Connor. Can you ask him what he said to number 90? And Jake has the question: what kind of smack talk was he talking during the game?
What did I say to number 90? Are we referring to a specific moment?
Yes, I believe it was on that. It might have been when you actually had that holding call.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really remember exactly what I said.
Okay.
I think, yeah, he was giving me crap for the holding, and I was basically saying he's a pretty crappy football player. Just something along those lines. I don't know. I don't exactly remember that specific moment. I was more angry at the official, so I wasn't even worried about talking to him.
Okay.
Like, he kept trying to talk to me, and I was like, dude, I don't care about you. Like, you don't mean anything to me. And so it's like I went and pled my case with the official instead.
Okay, fair enough. Adrian asked this: what is the focus for you at BYU to improve on, and can you get it done in just 3 days of prep?
Yeah, I think for me, I mentioned it a little bit earlier when you asked me about how I graded myself in the game. Just some details with my hand placement and just some footwork that was a little off and put me in some bad positions. I think I can definitely shore that up for this week, and we're gonna have the same amount of padded practice time as we do in a normal week. We kind of just went quicker with our Monday. Instead of having our Monday walkthrough and stuff like that, we jumped right into a padded practice. And so still going to have the same amount of time in pads for me to work on some of those things, make sure my hat and hand placement's good, and making sure that my power angles are all where they're supposed to be. And so felt like I had a good day today working on some of those things. So I feel like I can definitely do that in a 3-day window.
All right, next question. Andy Stallings asked this. Last week, you talked about being a vocal leader for other young players. I want to know who the vocal leader or leaders were for him as a young player.
Yeah, I would say, excuse me. That 2020 team was really special from a leadership perspective. I think also because there was leadership throughout. Where it's like we had our captains, we had the guys who we knew were going to lead our team, but they enabled the people around them to be vocal and be leaders as well. And so, I think for me, it's kind of hard to not, not only because he's a friend, but also became kind of a personal mentor when I made the position change. James Empey was definitely one of those guys for me, helping me transition to playing center. And obviously we've known each other our entire life. We're more like cousins than anything else. And so it's I would say him, Brady Christensen, for sure. I remember Zach also being a very good vocal leader, and also Jaron, even in a backup role. And then once he took over that starting role, he absolutely did that as well. And and I think I remember guys like Zane Anderson, and Isaiah Kafusi, just being great leaders when I was a young player, and kind of be able to emulate that a little bit now that I'm in their position. At least I try to, probably failing, but I try to. And, even more on the silent side, guys like Chandon Herring were huge mentors and leaders for me, even though Chandon wasn't super vocal. in front of the whole team. He helped me and mentored me a ton one-on-one. So.
All right, 3 more quick ones here, Connor, before we wrap up here. Let's see. Next question comes to Nick. What is Connor's post-game routine?
Post-game routine. Well, after after I leave the stadium.
Sure, yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Assuming like you're showering at the stadium and then you're off.
Yeah, because usually I'll spend way too much time wandering about the stadium, signing stuff and missing all the post-game stuff and in the locker room and getting in trouble. But then I'll go and I'll shower and then I just head home. I usually get food either with just some of my teammates or my family. People are there, and then I go home and I get in my bed.
Okay.
And I lay down and I grab my iPad and I watch the game real fast, just skim it. And then I go to sleep because I'm pretty beat up after a game, especially after the night games. It's so late already. You're ready to go to bed.
All right. Andrew asked this. Connor, was the Southern Illinois game fun for you?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I was pretty. I don't know if you can kind of hear it with my voice a little bit. I was pretty sick during the game, and I got a little bit of a bacterial infection in my throat, unfortunately. So, and we talked about it on the podcast before. I don't know if I've been healthy a single day since training camp started. So, I think that pneumonia and then the sinus infection I had, they're worried that maybe we didn't kick it all the way and it's just moved a little bit down here, so that they restarted me on a new round of antibiotics and stuff and things like that. So I was hurting a little bit in like my throat during the game just because I couldn't breathe super good. But man, it was so fun to get back out there and be in front of the fans. And, because it's like FCS game, and stuff, not the biggest game of the year. And the fans still sold that place out. Mm-hmm. And it was awesome. There's nothing quite like being able to play in front of all the fans at Les. And so, gosh, yeah, it was incredibly fun. I was having a blast out there. I made like all the things like, oh, my body hurts, blah, 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 I can't breathe, all that stuff. And it's like, but then you look up at the crowd and you're like, man, all that stuff starts to fade away. And you just go and you just play because it's so much fun.
All right. Final word goes to Weston today. Ask Connor to describe the Southern Illinois game in one word.
Jeez. Solid.
Okay. And then he also asked this: what one word would he describe the upcoming SMU game with?
Opportunity.
Okay, I like that. Well, here's hoping that you get feeling better, because obviously bacterial infections are never fun, and you're responsible for making calls along the offensive line when it's as raw.
Yeah, I got to be able to freaking talk.
I was gonna say communication down the line might be a little bit.
I was less worried about the breathing. Like, look, I can figure out how to breathe later, or I'll breathe through my nose, but I got to be able to talk. I got to be able to yell stuff.
Well, here's hoping that you're back as close to 100% as possible on Friday night, and best of luck against the SMU Mustangs, and we'll reconvene next week and recap whatever happens, all right?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, that is Connor Pay. I'm Jake Hatch. Big thank you to all of you for tuning in right here on Locked On Cougars, making it your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you once again who are everydayers with us as well. And until tomorrow, this has been the Locked On Cougars podcast.